As a conservative, I'd be much more willing and much more comfortable with this if the private sector was allowed to do their job and, market forces took care of this rather than big government come in saying, just trust us.
No, it's voluntary.
But it's not voluntary for us though, as end users. It's voluntary for the service providers. And the other thing I take issue with is that if something's found, no one is notified. And there are damages set up if information is misused, but if information is found and no one's notified, you're not gonna know if this information damaged you or not. So that combined with the NDAA, where Americans can kind of be disappeared.
Have you read the bill?
I read the bill.
The 26 pages.
26 pages. Read it twice.
And so,
So
well, that's
reviewed it today.
We interpret it differently because if any information is found, the government notifies who they did business with, that the information was there, and then the information was destroyed. The government never knows that it was Mr. Johnson or Mr. Smith or Mr. Jones.
I would rather the government never get any information.
Then don't do business with the people that run your stuff through the government.
Well,
Aren't
I mean,
you a
that's,
conservative?
so is
Aren't
it,
you a conservative?
so what choice
Aren't
do
you
we
a
have?
freedom man?
What choice do
Don't
we
do
have?
business with them.
What choices do we have?
You just wouldn't be able to do business.
We just wouldn't be able to get on the internet.
You mentioned, well, I have two questions. One is, are you going to debate your primary opponent publicly?
Well, I've got a job to do. I serve 700,000 people.
Are you willing to debate him publicly?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm not
And the second one is you mentioned the media vetting candidate Obama properly, and whether that happened or not, it seemed like there was a lot of strong favoritism given to him through the media, and now that same favoritism is being given to Romney, no matter what. Several months back, we heard Karl Rove, very much say that we're going to get behind Romney no matter what. And so even if it goes against the principles that America needs to get back to restore, what we're losing, it's like the media that you're saying didn't vet him is the one that's pushing all this stuff through polls and through some kind of organized effort that is very obvious to everyone in the world right now. It's very obvious. And so, like, what are we going to do inside the intelligence community to get back to a more honest media? Because it's obviously gotten off track of whatever the intentions of their intelligence community were and are. Because we can see it on Good Morning America when somebody kills their kids one day, they're on Good Morning America the next getting vetted one way or the other. So things are obvious.
Okay. David?
Lynn, I think one thing that is so important coming up in this election is this economy is not where it should be. People are hurting. Quite frankly, the business community is worried. I think that's why this economy is where it's at. There's no certainty out now.
Yeah,
And one of the things that as a CPA we've got coming up, and I think this nation needs to know, is we've got a sunset on all the Bush tax cuts. And I don't think people realize that, the sunset, it goes away and it reverts back to the higher rates. And maybe talk a little bit about the importance of what this election means as we come in and as we look at 2013 and 14 as we go through, what is this election going to mean to what we as taxpayers, we as business owners, we as people out there making this engine go, how is this going to affect us? And if you could comment and make sure we understand the importance of that area.
Well, David, you're exactly right. And one of the reasons that small businesses or business in general haven't expanded because they don't know what their tax consequences are going to be. Whether you're trying to do estate planning or healthcare or whatever it is, there's just so much uncertainty. Plus all the rules and regs that are being put in place. And, I went and toured Plant Yates the other day, and they were giving me some statistics about the money that they're spending to, and this is voluntarily, that they're spending to clean up, some of the emissions. And then they talked about the regulations and how much it would cost if these stay the regulations. And so if they change, it's gonna change their way of doing so. It's hard for them to plan how much capital investment they're gonna have 2 years out if they don't know what the government is going to continue to do with the regulations. All tax extenders, and breaks expire on December 31st. Even if we had a new administration, they're not gonna be sworn in, until, when is it, third week of January or something like that. And the Congress will probably be the second week of January, to get sworn in. So, hopefully, those will come up during the lame duck session. Now, whether we can get them extended or not, but right now, all the tax extenders go away. And so all these loopholes that you hear about, those are going away. And we're having a lot of people that you wouldn't think benefited from some of these tax extenders, but some of these nutrition programs and people that distribute food and help say, you know what, these people that are doing that for us and helping us with that, if they don't get the tax extenders, then they're probably not going to be doing this. And so there's a lot of things out there that I think we have to look at, but every one of them's up. And if we want to do away with all of them, that's great, but we're going to feel some pain from it. And a lot of revenue is going to be raised. I think it's $4 trillion. I think is what would be raised, but they're up. And see, we're doing all this short-term planning, and we passed a budget in April, or right around April, end of April. We passed the Ryan budget. The Senate hadn't passed a budget in over 3 years. It's hard to negotiate yourself. And so what's going to end up happening, they're not going to pass a budget, and they're going to do another continuing resolution. And so that'll just run through, the end of September, and then we'll have another big fight about closing down the government, and, what are we going to do? And are we going to do another continuing resolution? And so, it's a mess because we don't have enough people up there with the guts to make some long-term decisions.